First of all, let me just say thank you to the NIAA for putting this conversation together. I unfortunately wasn't able to join until this morning, and I've been very impressed with the level of dialogue and the level of consensus here in the room. The two names that I'm associated with, the APLU and AAVMC, are two organizations with which the land-grant and other university communities are involved. And the leadership of both organizations decided about 2 years ago to put together a task force to look at responsibilities that those academic units have in this whole arena. And that's where I became involved as co-chair of that task force, along with Lonnie King. Dr. King was at the time Dean of Veterinary Medicine at The Ohio State University. So we did in time produce a report and did in time begin to fully appreciate the role that the academic community has, not just only in research, but also in education across both our medical colleges, our College of Veterinary Medicine, and within the colleges of agriculture. My focus this morning is in the food animal production, and that's the area we'll talk about. My history is as a professor of swine nutrition and production in the Department of Animal Science, and aside from various diversions into administration, that's where I spent the lion's share of my career. Done a bit of consulting as a person in the swine industry, and so have some sense of the livestock production systems in this country and abroad. As I think about how we go about creating a sense of responsibility, a sense of ownership for this topic of stewardship and appropriate use of antimicrobials, I think of livestock production systems as really two different categories. Obviously, there are the large integrated units, the beef, cattle, feedlots, swine production, poultry, turkeys, etc., that have within their organization professional staff who have responsibility and understanding of these issues. They have staff veterinarians who are involved day by day in dealing with the appropriate use. So there's a capacity there to also use sophisticated record systems to document the things that are going on. But there's another and significant sector of the industry, and that's the smallholder farmers. I think of my brother-in-law, who's a beef cattle producer in central Missouri with about 100 cows. And in his case, he relies on his local veterinarian. He doesn't have a staff veterinarian. He relies on his input suppliers in the ag community for the kinds of information that he needs. He relies on his extension service as well, which is, again, a responsibility of the university systems. And he may or may not, in some cases, but others may not have access to veterinary expertise. In the course of our work, we discovered that about 20% of the counties in the United States do not have a veterinarian available for use by producers. Sources of leadership and responsibility, well, I think we can look at an umbrella-type approach and then more specifically at individuals. There are the species-specific organizations. A number of them have already been mentioned this morning relative to Minnesota. Pork producers, beef association, poultry and egg, turkey federation, etc., who do have a responsibility for informing their members and providing services to their members. Many of them already have in existence quality assurance programs that came into place 20 or 30 years ago focused on appropriate use of antimicrobials. Those need to be further enhanced in this era. Industry education programs that they operate. The veterinary profession clearly has responsibilities for providing leadership as they go about their daily work. The organizations that they are represented, the overall American Veterinary Medical Association, swine practitioners, bovine, and the other specific species-associated organizations. These operate continuing education programs, and it's incumbent upon them as they go about doing this to provide the kinds of information that their members need. They also have responsibilities relative to the accreditation of academic programs. And as we've talked within our task force about the changes needed within the way we teach our students and prepare them for their professional careers, we came to appreciate they're not trivial. We need to make changes, and they need to be done in a very timely manner. And then there's the broader land-grant university colleges of agriculture with the extension system and the experiment stations that convey undergraduate and graduate education, and also informal producer education through extension, and federal agencies that have responsibilities. But I would also remind us that at some level there's an individual responsibility for appropriate stewardship, and that comes to rest on a number of people. First of all, the veterinarian, who has responsibility for actually making determinations of appropriate use and need. There's the feed manufacturer, if that's a route of delivery, who has responsibility for ensuring that the product is appropriately prepared, that appropriate stewardship and records are maintained. There's the producer, him or herself, who actually implements and puts this in place on their own operation. And then within that, it's important that the producer, or whoever's responsible for an individual operation, is also communicating to the farm staff their responsibilities across the board in this arena. There are challenges, a number of them. Culture is one that we all would appreciate. It's a change in the way that we've gone about doing business. I've mentioned already the issue of availability in some sectors of large animal practitioners. Others have referred to diagnostic issues, and also the need to have appropriate enforcement. So there's a realization that indeed this is a serious matter that needs to be addressed. Those are my comments.